Imagine this. A Formula One car leaves the pits with a full tank, heavy and sluggish. By lap 40, it's dancing through corners like a different machine, faster, sharper, alive. But here's what nobody tells you. That transformation isn't just confidence. Every single kilogram of fuel burned rewires the physics of how the car handles cornering, braking, and weight transfer. So tonight, we're asking the question that separates world champions from the also-rans. How do drivers feel that 200 kilograms shrink without destroying their tires or missing their braking points completely? Because the truth is, the last 5 kilograms of fuel matter more than any suspension tweak or tire pressure adjustment. In Formula One, fuel strategy isn't just about reaching the finish line. It's about which driver best masters a moving target of physics. A car that weighs 798 kilograms at the start of a race behaves like a completely different machine by lap 30, when it's down to 610. That 188 kilogram swing isn't neutral. It changes the mechanical balance, reduces understeer, sharpens the turn-in response, and lets drivers carry more speed through high-speed corners. But here's where it gets ruthless. The driver has maybe 2 stints to adapt their throttle application, braking point, and corner entry before the fuel load drops into dangerous territory. Miss that window, and you're either locking up on old tires under a much lighter car, or you're pushing too hard and running out of fuel in the final laps. Engineers calculate lap time deltas per kilogram, sometimes as precise as 0.08 seconds per kilo in the final 20 kilograms. But the driver has to feel it in real time, with no steering wheel display telling them exactly how much fuel remains. That's why the championship often comes down to which team understands fuel load rounding, and which driver has the sensitivity to hunt lap time without crashing into the wall when the car suddenly transforms beneath them. Think of a Formula One car at the start as a fully loaded delivery truck. Heavy, planted, reluctant to change direction quickly because all that mass wants to keep going straight. The fuel tank holds roughly 110 kilograms of highly refined petrol, and that weight sits low in the chassis, near the center of gravity, which means it affects how the car transfers weight from side to side in a corner. Picture a sharp left-hander. As the driver turns the wheel, the car's mass wants to roll outward, pushing the outside tires harder into the tarmac, while the inside tires unload and lose grip. When you're heavy with fuel, that rolling motion is pronounced and slow, like pushing a water-filled bucket through mud. So the driver feels the car resist the turn-in, and they must brake earlier or turn in more gradually. But as fuel burns lap after lap, that weight vanishes from inside the chassis, and suddenly the car wants to change direction faster, needs less steering input to hold the same line, and the tires, now managing less overall load, respond quicker to every input. Here's the violent part. Those final 5 kilograms of fuel are the difference between a stable, predictable machine and a nervous, eager one that will snap into oversteer if you're not ready. The tire rubber itself has been working hard for 30 laps, shedding tiny particles, building heat, losing just a fraction of grip lap after lap. So when the car suddenly becomes lighter and more responsive, those tired tires have less mechanical grip margin to give you. An engineer in the garage knows this precisely. They've run the telemetry, the simulations, calculated that at lap 28, with exactly 60 kilograms remaining, this driver will have a 0.4 of a second advantage on corner exit compared to lap 5. But the driver doesn't get a fuel gauge on their dashboard in many series. They're navigating by feel, by muscle memory, by radio calls from the pit, and by the growing confidence or caution they feel through their hands and seat. That's the ruthless beauty of motorsport. Data and physics are exact, but the human nervous system has to translate that into action in real time, and a single miscalculation costs you either the win or the championship. Take Barcelona 2016. Lewis Hamilton chasing Max Verstappen in the closing laps, both running on fumes, both nursing tires that had done 40-odd circuits of abuse. Hamilton's car was getting lighter every lap, more responsive through the quick corners of Turn 3 and the chicane. But his Pirelli compounds were already in the danger zone, overheated, worn past their prime grip window. He had to nail the balance between the car's newfound eagerness and the tyre's declining grip, all while his pit wall told him gaps and pace. But his own hands felt the moment-to-moment truth, when to push, when to manage, when the last 5 kilograms of fuel meant he could finally trust the car's rotation. Or look at 2018 at Silverstone, Sebastian Vettel leading for much of the race, but as both he and Lewis burned fuel in identical patterns. There came a critical window where Vettel's car, slightly heavier for slightly longer in a poorly timed stint, was still oversteery and demanding, while Lewis's machine had shed enough weight to turn with precision. That crossover, that moment where the car stopped being a patient, heavy beast and became a scalpel, cost Vettel the race and ultimately shaped the championship that year. The telemetry showed it, the lap times proved it. But what mattered most was which driver felt that transition coming and trusted their instincts enough to attack when the physics aligned. Now imagine this. 2 identical cars, same setup, same tire compound, same driver skill. But one starts the final stint with a full tank, while the other has run a lap or 2 longer on older rubber. The heavier car theoretically should be slower. More mass means more inertia, more load on tired tires, more understeer fighting through high-speed corners. But what if that full-tank car's driver mistimes their aggression, pushes too hard too soon when the fuel weight is still fighting them? They'll crash into a wall they didn't see coming. Not because the car failed, but because they trusted a sensation that hadn't yet arrived. The moment when lightness becomes an advantage instead of a liability. So here's what we've learned. Fuel load isn't just about going the distance. It's a complete transformation of how the car behaves beneath you. Remember these 3 things. First, every kilogram of fuel adds predictable lap time early in the stint, but removes it unpredictably as weight drops and tire wear compounds. Second, that crossover point, where the car transitions from heavy and stable to light and pointy, isn't gradual. It's a sharp threshold that catches unprepared drivers. And third, the drivers who win aren't always the smoothest or the bravest. They're the ones who feel that moment of balance shifting and attack exactly when the physics permits it. We want to know, which aspect of fuel strategy fascinates you most? The engineering calculations, the driver psychology, or the tire degradation puzzle? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the hidden forces that decide